Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Series Recap. This is episode 11. Like I announced in my last video, the series recap from now on, now that the playoffs are wrapped up and we are about to officially head in the finals time, it's gonna be split into 2 game episodes. You know what I mean? Like, so the first 2 games of the Bucks Suns series, that will be covered. I'm not gonna be doing like a game by game scenario, but they're gonna talk about my biggest takeaways from those 2 games and those 2 games only. So I hope y'all are ready for that. And yeah, let's jump into the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Whatever the hell y'all really want to do. I'm still not at 50 yet, so please get me at 50 if you're listening to this right now. But let's jump right into it. So this Bucks Hawks series, I thought was very interesting, bro. Like, this series should not have went 6 games, but because of the fact Milwaukee plays dumb basketball, they allowed this to go 6 games, and the Hawks almost forced a game 7 because Milwaukee was playing with their food, but they were able to weather the storm, if you feel me, and they were able to close them out in Atlanta. So yeah, there's that. But anyways, this series was very interesting. Like I said, Game 6 was very surprising. I want to talk about Game 6 before I talk about the rest of the series. So Game 6, I felt like this was the most underwhelming performance by the Atlanta Hawks. So let me explain what I mean. I did not expect the Hawks to win this game. I expected the Bucks to win, even though I wouldn't be really surprised if they lost because of the fact they played dumb basketball, and they did play dumb basketball, and they saw their lead, which was 22 points, cut down to 6, mostly because of Cam Reddish. Now, Cam Reddish, bro, I knew he had this in him. I just didn't think he had enough opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cam Reddish played played his heart out this game, bro. And Bogey and Gallo played okay for what it's worth, but he's, Gallo, so I'm not gonna put the loss or win really on him. But he contributed. Capella, very underwhelming performance. He had 14 points and a good steal, but he was getting out rebounded by Drew Holiday, who is a 6'4" guard. A 6'4" guard. Match Capella's rebounds. And remember, Capella's a 7-footer. So the Hawks in this game, outside of Bogey and Cam, I don't know if they played like they really wanted it or they just didn't feel like playing. Do you know what I mean? It's just that something was off with this Atlanta Hawks team. Now, I thought it was going to be better with Trae Young coming back. And for the first 5 minutes, like he looked a bit shaky. But when he got going later on in the first half, I thought, okay, this looks good. I think Trey will explode in the second half. And lo and behold, he sold the game. He sold the game. He played very poorly. He shot 24%, well, 23.5% from the field, shooting 4 for 17. Granted, he was playing on a bone bruise in the foot, in his foot, so that could have affected his performance, and it really affected him. So I guess I'll give him somewhat of a pass, but I feel like he should have played a lot better. He should have played a lot better. But then again, I'll give him the fact that he was injured. But he was a liability regardless. Like, he couldn't do anything out there outside of, dribble moves. And I think Kenny Smith said this. Like, it just felt like his timing was off. Like, the shiftiness was there. And it kind of reminded me of James Harden in Game 5 versus the Bucks, where he only had 5.6 rebounds and 8 assists. Granted, that was the Kevin Durant show, but Trae Young was a different case because Trae Young is like the best player on this Hawk team. And like I said, he was injured and he did play on one leg, so it didn't look good. But even then, um, Trey absolutely underperformed. John Collins underperformed. I don't know about him getting a max contract at this point. I love John Collins though, really good guy, very athletic. I don't want to say big man. He's like a small ball five. Very athletic forward, and he has a lot of game to him, bro. But man, he underperformed, especially the last two games. Bogdanovich is really good, bro. Bogdanovich, I did not expect him to be play like a star. I think he's played like a star. I don't want to say these whole playoffs, but there were glimpses of him where he played like a star in this series, and I gotta give credit to Bogey. Herter also really struggled this game six, and like I said, the only bright spot of this was Cam Reddish and Bogey because they played like they wanted it more. And it's just like I said, in this game six, they didn't really play like they wanted it. Milwaukee wanted it more, and they punched him in the mouth. And the wannabe Michael Red dude, aka Chris Middleton, went off in the third quarter. And they gave up so many offensive rebounds, and I was just like, I was getting so mad with how they're losing this game. Like, sometimes it's not even about losing because I think they would have lost this game regardless. But had they lost putting in more effort than they did, because I felt like they played their most underwhelming basketball in Game 6. I don't know if it had to do with injuries or players, getting their timing off, or I don't know. But they played out of sync and they didn't play like they really wanted it. So I don't know what to say to y'all, man. But again, give credit to the Milwaukee Bucks. They went off to a fast start and they never looked back. So this team, and I don't want to give any disrespect to them, but I do think they are the most second resilient team behind the LA Clippers. Or actually, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that because obviously the Clippers are not in the finals and the Bucks are. So those are the two most resilient teams all postseason. Like I know Atlanta and what other team was that? Shit. Like I know Atlanta and the and the Suns, yeah, and the Suns, because I for some reason I forgot about them. But you had those two teams, but Milwaukee and the Clippers, they played like underdogs, and they showed that when they have the underdog mentality, that's when they play at their best. Like, I'm not going to go ahead and explain what I mean by that, especially because I'm going to be talking about the Clippers in a video where I'm talking about the Bucks and Hawks series and my early thoughts on the Suns Bucks finals. I already explained in my Suns video and the Clippers deserve or earn my respect video on why I think they are the most resilient team. Same with the Milwaukee Bucks. They came this far being down 0-2 in two very humiliating losses against the Big Three in Brooklyn, or Game 2, or actually for the rest of the series, Kevin Durant and one of his other All-Stars, one Kyrie Irving, the last three James Harden. They played really well. They managed to play great basketball, but at the same time, they had played some dumb basketball, but they were able to overcome it, and that's why I think they'll make it tough on the Suns, and I think the Suns will make it tough on them. And they played really well, and everybody expected them to lose the way they lost Game 4. Because when Giannis went down, it was like, man, we don't have our leader. They just waved the white flag too early. They just waved the white flag too early, and Atlanta was pouring it on and pouring it on and pouring it on. And games 5 and 6, they delivered in the biggest moments possible. So shout out to this team for proving me wrong this whole postseason. I thought they would win against Miami, and I thought they would lose against the Brooklyn Nets, which I still think it would have been true had Harden stayed healthy for the whole series and had Kyrie not gotten his ankle injured. So shout out the Milwaukee Bucks for proving everybody wrong. And I do feel the same way about the Suns. I don't think this championship has an asterisk on it at all. I think the Suns and Bucks deserve it. But NBA, there are fans that have that have a valid point. If AD was playing in the series against the Lakers, I think the Lakers will have won that series, but that doesn't make it invalid. Same with the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard. Now, the Nuggets, everybody kind of overrated Jamal Murray, and I think he would have made a huge impact in that Nuggets series, but again, offense was not their problem. Defense was, because they were still able to score points. Their defense absolutely sucked when Aaron Gordon is like your only reliable defender. So I really don't agree with the Nuggets. Definitely I do agree with the Clippers and the Lakers. And with the Bucks, it was the same thing with Kyrie and James being hurt. Now, with the Atlanta Hawks, some of y'all may say that if Trey were healthy the whole series, if Trey were healthy the whole series, they would have won this. But that injury was his fault because he shot D3 and he was lollygagging, trying to jot back on defense with absolutely no awareness of where the ref is. So that injury was his fault. Had he not gotten injured, it would change the series entirely. Or would it change the series entirely? That remains to be seen, obviously, because they lost, even with Trae Young playing. But I can say this, that the Atlanta Hawks had a great season, regardless of this loss. They proved a lot of people wrong. I literally thought they would lose in the first round against the Knicks, because I thought the Knicks were a better team defensively, but they came out of that series. And I thought that series was going to be like the best first round series since the Spurs Clippers series in 2015, where obviously that went to an epic 7 games with Chris Paul. I thought the Hawks Knicks series had a lot of potential to be that type of series, but the Hawks just blew them out of the water in games one. Well, they didn't blow them out the water. They won game one through a Trae Young game winner in his very first playoff game. They won games 3, 4, and 5. And this was a very resilient team. And now everybody picked, or a lot of people picked, the Philadelphia 76ers to win round 2. And that was even more so the case when they won game 6 in Atlanta. So they showed that they responded to what the Hawks had, coming back from 18 and 26 points down. I thought they had the series because it was going to be on their home floor, and obviously that did not matter at all because the Hawks won Game 7 on Philly's home floor. So I gotta give credit to both teams and how they played, because really, you can't get more resilient than what we saw with the Clippers, the Suns, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Milwaukee Bucks. So I got to tip my hat off to all those 4 teams because they played their hearts out. They left it all out there, and they made these conference finals, or even these playoffs, even really enjoyable to watch. So congrats to Milwaukee and congrats to Phoenix. But now, after 14 minutes in, I can finally talk about the series that was not Game 6. Obviously, explain what happened in Game 5, but Game 4, that was a humiliating loss, and they bounced back from it. After they went up 2-1, though, I thought they would have wrapped the series up in 5. Obviously, they wrapped it up tonight, but here's the problem with Milwaukee, though. They have the talent and they have the size to be the most dominant team in the league. But because they play such incompetent basketball, it not only cost them crucial series like the Miami Heat last year in the bubble, and then obviously 2 years before against Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, Eric Bledsoe was on the team, not Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker. Oh yeah, and they had Wesley Matthews last year too, who was again a walking brick show for us. So yikes. But I do feel like, despite the fact they play great basketball, they play really dumb basketball and they still somehow win these type of games. So I have to wonder if their style of play, especially well, whether Giannis is playing or not, which I do believe he will at the tail end of these playoffs because it is a hyperextended knee injury and he'll be cleared at some point during the NBA Finals should it go to a Game 6 or a Game 7. But even then, their dumb basketball habits, it can come back to haunt them. Now, luckily, it didn't come back to haunt them Game 7 versus Brooklyn. And it didn't come back to haunt them. And by the way, that was my PlayStation app on my phone notifying me that one of my homies is on and, they want to run a 2K session with me. But at some point, I'm thinking to myself, their dumb basketball habits is going to come back to haunt them. And you don't want to have lapses against a player like Chris Paul. Because when you have lapses against that guy, oh, that guy smells blood, man. And you don't want to have lapses against a really good defensive team like the Phoenix Suns. Because remember, Phoenix got a lot of dogs, man. They got guys like Torrey Craig, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, who is a 3-and-D weapon. And then Chris Paul, who is one of the best team defenders. And then you have DeAndre Ayton, who on any given night, he could be one of the best defenders and he's one of the best rebounders. So to beat this Buck team, well, first of all, you got to collect the rebounds. You got to win the rebounding battle if you're Phoenix. And number two, and obviously they don't this is not an issue with the Phoenix Suns, don't turn the basketball over against this team because there were so many times in this, excuse me, shout Ben and Jerry's ice cream, by the way, because I had some before this video. But no, seriously. Atlanta turned the ball over so many times in this game that these were momentum deflating turnovers. Now, I've said momentum deflating because they are momentum deflating. I think I said momentum deflating shots in my Sixers video. I think it was in my Sixers video. Yeah, it was in my Sixers video. I said it then and I said it now. These are momentum deflating turnovers, and the Suns, they are really good at avoiding turnovers. But this Buck defense, has, I don't want to say it has potential, but it has the ability to make it hard on the Suns. But at the end of the day, they need their best player to win this series. They're not winning a championship without Giannis. And even with Giannis, I really don't have as much confidence in the Bucks because they do have the personnel for that wall defense for Giannis. Like I said with all those other guys. But their role players stepped up and they answered the bell when everybody was down them. And I have to give my respect to Milwaukee. But at the same time, Phoenix's role players were no different. In the series against the Lakers, a lot of their role players, obviously Devin Booker shitted on us with his 47 points in that closeout game. But the role players stepped up that game. And actually, in that series after AD was out, games 5 and 6, they absolutely had a major impact. And then game 6 in the closeout game versus the Clippers, they had a major impact as well. So, if I'm the Bucks, you gotta stop playing dumb basketball because they let Atlanta hang in there when they should be blowing them out. Now, they were able to pull away, but that was way late in the game, and they should have blew them out from the get-go. You don't want to have lapses against this Phoenix Suns team if you're the Bucks, because if you do, you're gonna pay hard. All right. And they have actual defenders that are not going to make it easy on Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, and Middleton. Their defense is not going to make it easy on them either. So I would be very, very careful if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks. Because I know it's their first finals. And I don't really doubt that they will play well against the Suns. But I do have the Suns winning it all because I believe Chris Paul is on a mission. I trust his leadership and his basketball IQ. Obviously, the flopping, it's really not a great look on him, to be honest. But I do believe in the Suns more than I do the Bucks. But The Bucks have proved me wrong these playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they prove me wrong again. So, if y'all were to ask me who I pick in the NBA Finals, I think I may have said it already, but this will be my final answer. I picked the Suns in a very, very close and tight series. I think this goes to a game 6 or 7. It's not going to be an easy 5-game sweep, or at least I don't think it will be. I trust Milwaukee to keep it close. But at the end of the day, I do believe that if you're a championship team, you cannot have bad habits and you cannot have lapses. That's how great some of these championship teams are. That Golden State Warrior team with Kevin Durant back in 2017 to 2018, yeah, they might have had some dingers here and there where they had games where they didn't play particularly well, but they were able to get the job done. Same with the Lakers last year. That's how great those teams were, and same with the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors in 2019 had to battle the whole Eastern Conference, and they were able to overcome a close Eastern Conference, especially against the Sixers and the Bucks. But that's a whole nother video. And this is the same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. But the thing is, they did that even when they had bad habits. And I do believe at some point, because of their said bad habits, I think it'll come back to haunt them. In my opinion. But hey, man, congratulations to all 4 teams that made it this far. Congratulations to the Bucks and the Suns. Whichever team wins this championship, though, it's going to be really special. It's going to be special for the city of Milwaukee. It'll be special for Giannis. But I think it'll be more special for CP3. Because I think the brother deserves a ring. And I'm rooting for him. And I'm happy for him. So that's my take on the Bucks-Hawks series. Again, congratulations to the Hawks. Congratulations to the Clippers for being two very resilient teams. But Milwaukee and Phoenix were better. And thank y'all for letting me discuss my thoughts and letting me share my thoughts, whatever. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, that's also my early thoughts on how I think the finals should go. But again, these are early predictions. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But anyways, as usual, man, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.